Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I kind of want to talk about the topic of, movies being turned into TV shows, because lately that's kind of been like a big thing. A lot of stuff, more specifically, a lot of crime dramas have been kind of almost rebooted into TV shows, like, Minority Report, Rush Hour, Limitless, Lethal Weapon, Training Day. Also Taken, but Taken's a little different, whereas the others are kind of reboots of those movies. Taken is actually a prequel to the movies. So there's even the one, I'm not familiar with this series, but there's the TV show Shadowhunters. Like, it was basically based on the movie, a movie that's basically an adaptation of a book. Like, not important, but it's like, I don't know if that's actually the TV series is a reboot of the movie, or whether it, reboot slash continuation of the movie, or is it more like a actual sequel whole topic and everything, because it's something I've always thought about. It's like, oh, there's certain things I would really like to be adapted into a TV show. One said show that it's kind of always been in the back of my mind has been the movie, I should say, is the movie Jumper. It's been very long time since I've ever seen. I've seen the movie maybe 2 or 3 times, but that was years ago. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's a movie that had, what's his name? I'm terrible with names. I think it's Christian Hayden or Christian Haydenson. He's the actor who played Anakin Skywalker in the Star Wars prequels. But basically in the movie, him and these other people are people who have the power to kind of teleport, hence the name Jumper. They can jump from one location to another. Like, they're kind of like a more evolved species of humans, and they're kind of being hunted for it and stuff like that, kind of to the point of almost being hunted to the point of extinction. And it's a movie that I always kind of wanted a sequel to, but I think it'd work really well as a TV show. But then again, I feel like technically that TV show has already existed, and that's in the TV show The Tomorrow People. If you've never seen that, I highly recommend you check it out. Sadly, it was a very short-lived show, which I interestingly found out years ago that, because like, I'm familiar with the one from 2014 that was airing on the CW, but apparently there are, like, obviously previous versions of that show. There was like one from, like, I think it was like, it ran from the 70s into the 80s, and then there was one that came out in the late to mid 90s that was like short-lived as well. I think the original one ran for a good couple seasons, but I think it's all, like, I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, I think I vaguely remember reading that that's actually based on a book. But nevertheless, like, technically that's kind of Jumper too, like a different species of people that kind of have teleportation abilities and stuff like that, except, Tomorrow People have a little bit more to it, just because it's like, well, especially when it came to the main protagonist, he could do a lot more. Like, their main ability was teleportation. So but still, like, I would like Jumper itself to be one, but even if you couldn't, you could also get Push, which now I'm sitting here naming all these things, Tomorrow People, Jumper, and Push. I'm like, oh, they're very similar. I mean, granted, it's not like that's like a storyline that's like 100% original. I mean, it kind of falls under the same line of like the X-Men storyline of just being different and being hunted for. I mean, it's a storyline that's existed, but it's just like these particular situations and these particular characters. But really quickly, like, I brought up Push. If you're not familiar with Push, that's a movie that came out in like 2009. I really like that movie. I've seen it a couple of times too. Like, I don't know how well it did for it. Like, because I vaguely remember years ago reading, like, I think they were in the talks of making something. I don't remember if it was something animated or whether it was live action. I get the feeling like it was live action, but I feel like it might have been animated or something. I don't know. Like a TV show or something for it. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. That's something I'll have to look up afterwards. But like, that'd be something I'd like to see, adapted to. Because basically there's like, I forgot exactly all the abilities. I know one was obviously kind of telekinesis. Another one was basically being able to mind control people. You push them, hence the title of the movie. And there was also people who could see the future and stuff like that. Because like Chris Evans' character was a telepath, and Dakota Fanning's character could see the future. So it's just, I would like to see like that kind of adapted into a show, like either one of those, because obviously, but more now I'm sitting here thinking about it, it's like even more so than Jumper, I would want Push kind of turned into a TV show, just because I feel like it'd work with just aesthetically how it works and everything. I don't know. I mean, I get the feeling like they might have to do a reboot, but if they could do a continuation, like, I'd be fine with that. But then again, it comes down to, studios and stuff like that, whether something's warranted or not. It's like, I mean, maybe given enough time, like I said, we're in that period where a lot of stuff gets turned into, adapted into, like, TV shows. So this might be kind of the perfect time for that. Maybe you could, like, I wonder how you would go about it. Would you add like to make it more serialized. Maybe they add like a crime drama, kind of police drama aspect to it. Like there's a police officer investigating like this stuff and kind of gets mixed up in this world, and it's like, oh, there's people with powers and stuff like that. Or maybe it's just the main focus of is, you know, maybe kind of like in my mind where I kind of go with that. It's kind of like more on the side of Heroes, where it's kind of like not, you know, just like if you needed like kind of a structure to kind of build it upon, kind of mimic it a little bit like Heroes. I mean, I guess on some level it's just because I just want Heroes back, you know, and it's like obviously that came back was a little short-lived, but that's its own thing. Like I said, not saying that these have to be like these things would be things that would be cool. Like I said, I'll have to look it up later and find out if there's anything actionable being done with a lot of this stuff, like whether it's like, oh, whether that's still on the table or whether it's been removed from the table and the projects are dead in that respect. Like I said, like the whole push situation, like I felt like there was going to be something coming out of that, but it hasn't, at least not to my knowledge. So I don't know, it's just something I was randomly thinking about. Like those are just a few. I'm sure there's plenty of other examples, like when this video's done I'll be like, oh yeah, I mean, I should have said this and that. Like my question to you is like, are there any movies that you would like to see turned into TV shows? Like are there like any that you're like, I think it would work better as a TV show rather than a movie? I mean, because for me, like I prefer TV show formats. Like I've mentioned this many times in the past, like I will always prefer TV show formats to movie formats, because I mean, movies you have to condense them a little bit. TV shows you have a little more free reign. You can like dive into a character's past, kind of, you know, build up tension and stuff like that. Like, you know, it's like, you know, movies are typically divided up into 3 acts, and I feel like, I mean, technically that can probably be applied to a TV show if you really pushed for it. You could probably apply it to a TV show too, but still, it's like I'd rather like take the time to kind of develop a story and characters over a span of a couple episodes. I don't know, maybe, I don't know, like could be like something like Netflix or something, I don't know. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this video. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.